All right, hello, welcome to the Hold My Helmet Football Podcast, and I'm your host, Will Reigling.
And I'm your co-host, Dylan Boyle.
Did you hear that? Co-host. Congratulations, Dylan, on making co-host.
Yeah.
I will play some music, but I don't have any ready. I was not prepared for this. But I am giving you a silent applause in my head, so congratulations, Dylan.
Only took 2 episodes, but, we're here,
You
I'm
made
excited.
it. You've come through, Dylan. You've come through, and, last week we talked about how we were going to do our top 20 wide receivers. That'd be an hour-long episode. No one wants to listen to that, so we'll just do our top 10. It's very hard. You could argue someone for 20, and the same guy you could argue for 11 or 30 or like 20. So it's very close, Dylan.
No, yeah, there's a lot of good ones out there right now.
Lots of good wide receivers out there currently. So I'll let you start with your top 3, and then I'll go with my top 3, and we'll work from there.
Okay, let's go. So, starting at my number 1, I have Davante Adams. And, just the fact that he joined a new team, he doesn't really have the chemistry, and he still put up around 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns. Maybe one of his best seasons yet, honestly. And for him to be doing a new team like that, not having the chemistry, it really just blows my mind how he still, is still in the conversation for number 1 top receiver.
Yeah. No.
It's pretty crazy. So, my number 2 top receiver, and this one kind of tore me up because I couldn't decide which one to put which place, but I came down to Justin Jefferson as my number 2. And, he had that one amazing catch against the Buffalo Bills, but he's the type of player to have a highlight reel like that every week. And he had the second most yards after catch as a wide receiver, and he can just get it done when he has the ball in his hands. The only reason why I don't have him as my number 1 is exactly what I said. He doesn't have the chemistry with Kirk Cousins. He has the chemistry with Kirk Cousins, and Davante Adams doesn't. He just joined a new team, and it just goes to show that, Davante Adams could really do it with anyone. My number 3 receiver is Tyreek Hill. Just the fact that he's 5'10", and he's still in my top 3 receivers is pretty crazy itself. He has cheetah-like speed.
They call him Cheetah, so.
Exactly, yeah. Overthrown, underthrown, he's going to get to the ball. He'll adjust to it. And, Tua's all right. He's not too great with the deep ball, but I feel like Tyreek Hill really makes him look better than he actually is.
Interesting. We have very similar top 3, just a little shuffled. Number 1, I have Justin Jefferson. Look. He had 1,800 yards last season. It was a historic season. Not only that, he's had at least 1,400 yards in his first 3 seasons. And not only that, he's increased his yards by 200 yards every single season in his first 3 seasons. So not only has he been great, Dylan, he's also improved every season. Now, to me, it's not an issue of whether Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in the league or not anymore. It's becoming an issue of whether he's becoming one of the greatest receivers of all time or not. Because
that's a hot take.
It's really not, because his first 3 seasons, he's been outstanding. It's been outstanding numbers, and he's only gotten better. So where can he take this? He might be the first ever wide receiver to get a 2,000-yard season, especially with the 17 games format now. So he might get there. Let's keep an eye out for that, especially coming into this season. Like you said, he's built a great rapport with Kirk Cousins. So I could only see it being taken further. I mean, I haven't seen a cliff yet for Justin Jefferson. I haven't seen him plateau. It's just gotten better and better and better.
That's a very good point.
So he's the best receiver in the league to me.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, I have Davante Adams. He's the best route runner in the league to me. And he's still great. I love Davante Adams. Before this season, last season, I would have put him at number 1. But right now, Justin Jefferson has the edge. I was very impressed. Him leaving Aaron Rodgers and still having, like you said, one of the best seasons of his career, if not the best season of his career. But what is he going to do this season without a quarterback? If Jimmy Garoppolo plays, he's very effective. But if he doesn't play, their backup's Brian Hoyer. He's 37 years old, and I'm pretty sure he hasn't won a start. Won a game that he started in about 10 years, almost 10 years.
Wow.
So will Davante Adams be fine, even if Brian Hoyer starts? Probably. Derek Carr is a very capable quarterback. Mm-hmm. So people are acting like he did it with nobody. He did it with Derek Carr, who was also his college teammate. So Derek Carr is very capable. He probably would be fine with Brian Hoyer too. But even with that, Justin Jefferson right now at this point in both of their careers is the better wide receiver.
That's fair.
Yeah. So number 3, I have Tyreek Hill also. Now, he's another one. He showed that he could perform without passing Mahomes. Now, coming into the league in his first year or two, I looked at Tyreek Hill more of as a return man, a gadget guy on the offense. He did have a 1,000-yard receiving season with Alex Smith's last season on the Chiefs. Now, I still didn't know if he was going to be a legitimate number one wide receiver. With Mahomes, he proved that. I mean, he was one of the most explosive receivers in the league, building up a Hall of Fame resume. But when the Chiefs traded him to Miami, I thought he was going to take a step back, Dylan. I really did. I thought a lot of Tyreek Hill's success was Patrick Mahomes made. He has proven it was fair to say at the time, but he has proven me wrong. Okay,
I mean, with what he's working with now, yeah, you would think so, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like you said, Tua ain't Mahomes. Okay, Tua's not Mahomes, and he had better numbers. He had his career high in receiving yards.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he has his career high in receiving yards this season, 1,700. But I do like Tua a lot better than you're giving him credit for, okay? But I think Tua's very accurate, and he hits his receivers when he has talent. And he showed that last season, you know?
That's fair to say.
Great passer rating, and Tyreek Hill put up some of his best numbers. So that's my top three. Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, and Dylan has Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill. So very similar.
No, very similar.
Me too. Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson was going either way. So I understand where you were coming from with that too. I don't have anything to argue about that. Your list is fine with me up to this point.
That's what I'm saying. I could have gone either way with Adams and Jefferson, you know?
It's just interesting to me, though, Dylan, because last week you were saying how one running back's better than another running back because of the amount of carries they get and because they don't have a backup. Now, this week you're saying one wide receiver is better than another wide receiver because they do have talent, other receivers around them. I'd like to know what is your reasoning for this?
No, that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up because I've been wanting to get into this. So running backs have a much simpler role, you know? They run through the gap. That's it. And elite running backs, they're going to do that every other play without help. Like Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs. That's why I had them in my top 3 last week. But an average running back, they need somebody to fill that role when they're tired. They get fatigued. And it happens very often. And that's why I hold so much standards for Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry and other other running backs that don't have that backup. But getting into receivers, when you have 2 elite receivers on the same team, they're more so competing for the receptions, competing for the touchdowns, and it's much harder to get activity when you have 2 great players. And a great example of this is Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. 1 week A.J. Brown will go off, the other Devontae Smith will go off. And then you'll have weeks where they both go off.
Yeah, you got a point there.
Yeah, no, and it's really impressive when you have 2 receivers.
And they both,
get over 1,000 yards. 2,000 yards from 2 receivers. So they're both obviously very good and very elite. I wanted to put Devontae Smith in my top 10, but it's just not possible. He would definitely be in my top 15, maybe 20
I agree.
at least.
I mean, you could, he had games where he dominated Devontae Smith. So,
that's what I'm saying.
It's crazy because
it really could go either way.
Yeah, it's crazy because he probably wouldn't even sniff this top 10, but sometimes he plays like a top 10 receiver. It's very weird, Dylan. There's so much talent. Much talent. Number 4 for me is Jamar Chase. Another receiver that just came in the league and took off the second he stepped foot in the league. I don't know what it is with LSU receivers. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Dylan.
It's literally.
It's wide receiver university over there. It's wide receiver at university. He doesn't really have a weakness in this game. He could take you deep. He could beat you on the screen. There's no weakness in Jamar Chase's game. He could easily be top 3 in this list. Like I said, it's very hard to pick. It can go either way. Last season, he could have been at 1 or 2. The year before this one, and he's very special, and he might crack the top 3 after the season. He missed a lot of games, but still put up 1,000 yards. And I'm pretty sure he missed 5 or 6 games, still put up 1,000 yards. Wow. So very impressive, and feeds into your point. He did it with T. Higgins also getting 1,000 yards. So I kind of brought that up to you. I try to make some beef here by calling you out for last week, but you made a very good point. I kind of wanted to hear your rebuttal on that, and you made a good point, and it kind of applies to Jamar Chase also. Him and T. Higgins both performing no matter what, both getting 1,000 yards. It's really special when you can have 2 receivers getting 1,000 yards for you. I do agree with that. So number 5. I don't know if everyone's going to agree with this. I don't know how you don't have him in your top 5. Cooper Kupp. 1,900 yards 2 seasons ago, almost broke the record. He had a great rapport with Matt Stafford. He was a candidate for MVP and won Super Bowl MVP. I don't think Stafford's washed just yet. I don't think Cooper Kupp's washed just yet. They have a great offensive mind in Sean McVay. What tells me they're not going to have a great connection again? They had one of the all-time great connections for a season 2 years ago. Now all of a sudden they both can't play. I don't believe that. Cooper Kupp, top 5 wide receiver for me, Dylan.
So my number 4 receiver is going to be Jamar Chase, and I have Jamar Chase in my top 5 for the same reason I have Tyreek Hill as my top 3 receiver. Cincinnati is overloaded with good receivers. They have T. Higgins, they have Tyler Boyd, and let me not mention, Tyler Boyd could easily be a number 2 receiver anywhere else.
He really could, though.
He really could, yeah. Right? He has the talent, and there's just so much talent around that team, it's unbelievable. And then in the draft, they actually picked up another wide receiver, this guy, Charlie Jones. You think that's going to affect Chase's numbers? No, I didn't think so either.
I don't think anyone and their mom thought that. You could not watch football and you would know that. So
yeah, and honestly, I'm very high on Cincinnati because I thought they should have won last year. Going into this year, they need to win a Super Bowl. They need to get in the Super Bowl and they need to win. With the amount of talent that they have on their team, I feel like it's about time.
It's funny you said that because when I was going over a couple episodes ago, before Dylan became the co-host, I not to make a joke about it, but I did my AFC NFC standings, as you all know, and I said in it when I talked about Cincinnati that I might pick them for the Super Bowl this year as well. I'm very high Cincinnati as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like they should have easily been in the Super Bowl last year if that
the whole field goal thing.
Yeah, let's not get into it because that
we're not going to talk
stirs
about
up a whole
rig versus
thing.
not rig. I'm not buying that. But anyway, we'll go into a whole thing. So understandable. Jamar Chase, top number 4.
I like him as my number 4. So going on to number 5, I have AJ Brown, and it's a very similar situation with Devontae Adams. They both joined a new team and immediately started putting on a show. I think AJ Brown really brought out the good in Jalen Hurts. I honestly believe it's all about who you have around you. I think it's all about team morale. You have good receivers in there. Other receivers are going to step up and be like, okay, I got to step up because I'm not going to get any action if these 2 receivers are
creates competition.
Exactly.
It creates competition. Yes. And it spreads like wildfire in those locker rooms when you have a guy that has great team, that just builds up everyone else around them. So I do understand where you're coming from.
It's all about morale, and that's what I'm about. And this actually goes to what I'm saying. Stafford, as soon as he went to a new team, he won a Super Bowl. Listen, I know he's a quarterback. I get it. But what I'm really trying to get at here is great players tend to bring out greatness in other players, is really what I'm getting at. So that's my top 5.
So I have Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp. Dylan has Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown. Now, like I said, AJ Brown. It's just like so many. The first 7 or 8 receivers are just.
It literally could be upside down.
Yeah,
and it really wouldn't look that crazy at all.
It really wouldn't. That's a good way of putting it. You could literally just flip it upside down like a piece of paper.
It's like, that does make sense too.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, right. That's funny. So number 6, I have Stephon Diggs. Even though in Minnesota and Buffalo he seems to get a little prickly, he's shown that he could be a game changer and a winning player. Okay, him and Josh Allen will be fine. They have great chemistry on the field. Okay, they make it work all the time. Now, just to put things into perspective for you, since Stephon Diggs has gone to the Buffalo Bills, he's been there 3 seasons. All 3 seasons, he's set Buffalo Bill records for catches in all 3 seasons. First, second, third, Stephon Diggs, single season catches.
That's insane.
And 2020 and 2022, he's number 1 and 2 for receiving yards in single season for Buffalo. Not 2021 though.
They should put a statue of Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, just catching the ball. And they've had some really good receivers, but clearly they haven't anything like Stephon Diggs. He's gotten over 100 catches every single season he's been in Buffalo. Wow. So he's consistently been great in Buffalo. He's shown that he's not just a deep ball threat like Minnesota pinned him out to be. He's a great route runner. Stephon Diggs has proven that he is a well-rounded receiver, and I have him at number 6.
Wow. That's funny because I actually have him at number 6 too. And I feel like people really aren't as high on Stephon Diggs as they really should be. Because Stephon Diggs had the best season of his career last year. He has 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. So what do you think is in store for next season? I think greatness. He's gonna keep on going higher.
See, that's interesting.
As long as the Buffalo Bills do what they have to do, and they don't upset him, because I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on where he wasn't too happy, but they got to straighten that out and figure it out because they have a lot of talent over there.
Right, and it's interesting though because you have him on the upswing, but other people have him in the downswing. I kind of have him just about. He's going to be the same player next season he's always been. He's consistent. He's always going to be consistent until I see him, take a step back. I don't think he's taking a step back next season, and clearly you think he might be better. So
no, I think he is going to be taking a step up. Absolutely.
Well, here's the thing. Buffalo might be on a mission next season. They got laughed at in the playoff game against Cincinnati. Completely laughed at. And Stephon Diggs didn't take too kindly to that. Neither did Josh Allen. So I think they're going to come back to tournament this season.
No wonder there's some turmoil going on.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, it'll all work out for them. It'll bring them closer.
I would hope so.
We all hope so. So, number 7, I have A.J. Brown. He proved that the Titans should have never traded him. He proved it in the game he played against him where he scored 2 touchdowns on them and then got the GM fired following that. So
as they should.
Yeah, he should have never traded A.J.
Made
Brown.
a big mistake there.
Big mistake. People think of him, as a possession guy, gets catches over the middle, a deep ball guy, but he was second in yards after catch. So he clearly could do it all. He could take, a 10-yard in and take it 60 yards to the house. So A.J. Brown's very well-rounded, too. He's probably the most physical receiver on this list as well. So, you ever see his build? He's huge. A.J. Brown is huge. He'll run somebody over. So
he has running back size,
and you have him at 5. I could have had him as high as 5, too. It's just crazy because there's so many really good receivers. I keep stressing that. That was last season was his best season in the NFL on the Eagles. So
back to what I was saying, just no rapport and have no chemistry, and he just goes off.
And we didn't know what Jalen Hurts was at the time. Maybe he had a lot to do with that. So Jalen Hurts seems like he's going to be a great quarterback in this league with or without A.J. Brown. But A.J. Brown definitely enhanced that in a way.
I fully agree with that. So I'll get into my top 7. And I have, for number 7, I have Cooper Kupp.
Okay.
And listen,
at least you have him in your top 10. So
don't get me wrong. Cooper Kupp is amazing wide receiver. I really do think that. And people would rank him higher because of what he did, Super Bowl MVP. Why wouldn't you? But it's come to a point where he's 31 years old now. And when does he start regressing?
It'll happen eventually.
It will happen. And I feel like this is really the point because, they had a terrible season terrible.
Pretty
bad. I mean, you talk about Super Bowl hangover, more like,
Super Bowl
alcoholics.
Super Bowl alcoholics. I like that one. Super Bowl alcoholics.
So
the Jets have been Super Bowl alcoholics for about 50 years now because they haven't won a Super Bowl since.
Okay.
So
yeah, I know you're not too happy about that.
Anyway, moving on.
Okay, yeah. So I think Stafford is on a sharp decline, and I don't think they're gonna do it because if you have a quarterback that's on a sharp decline, not doing what he's have to, what do you think is going to happen to the receiver? He's going to lose yardage. He's not going to get as many targets. He's going to have worse passes, He's just going to... That's why I have him a little lower than most people do.
Well, it's a good point because I don't think Stafford's washed yet, but if you're right and I'm wrong and Stafford's washed, yes, he will take a step back. Because who's there? Stetson Bennett from Georgia?
They got to make some sort of changes after 2 seasons in a row.
Well, eventually Stafford's gonna, he's old. He's older now, and if this elbows thing is more serious than I thought, then you're gonna have to look for the future. So,
and that's your arm. That's what you use. You need that.
Yeah. So he might. You got points there.
Okay.
So number 8, I got Deebo Samuel, and people might think I'm crazy about that, but he's the biggest X factor on this list. Now, there might be people I have behind him, Dylan, that are more traditional number one wide receivers, line out wide. But no one on this list is as explosive as Deebo Samuel when he gets the ball in his hands. He might be the best player in the league when he gets the ball in his hands. He led the league in missed tackles forced after the catch last season. I mean, he's just special. Whether he's running the ball, whether he's receiver, whether he's in the slot, he's always making people miss, running for 70-yard touchdowns. I see it all the time. Now, do injuries worry me? Absolutely. They absolutely worry me. But look, when he's healthy, you can't argue. As far as players in the league, I mean, he might be a top 5, top 10 player. And you can't discount his running abilities. Do you discount quarterbacks' running abilities? Do you discount safeties getting sacks? Like, you got to compile all the things together when you're talking about people. Just because he's a wide receiver doesn't mean he can't impact the game other than being a wideout. So I have Deebo Samuel at 8.
And my number 8 is going to be DK Metcalf. And, the Seattle was supposed to be taking a step back. We thought they were going to be a lot worse when they actually were. But, I think they were really good solely because of DK Metcalf, We know he was a beast with Russell Wilson, but once he got traded to the Broncos, we kind of thought we would slowly start to forget about him. But we soon saw that him and Geno started doing their thing, and Russell did not do his thing, so he kind of made the whole trade look a little stupid.
Yeah, and I will admit, I was one of the people that thought DK Metcalf was going to regress this year without Russell Wilson, and I will admit that I was wrong. But I don't think DK Metcalf is the sole reason that Seattle was good this season, but I do think he was a big part.
Yeah. Okay.
So, number 9, I have Terry McLaurin. Okay, he's a consistent 1,000-yard receiver with 10 different quarterbacks in 4 seasons. So, he's never had an established quarterback. Don't tell me about Taylor Heineke. They wouldn't have gotten rid of Taylor Heineke if they thought he had something, okay? He's average. Now,
I think the only reason why he's, a name that we don't really mention that much is because the team he's on, he doesn't have a quarterback.
Doesn't have a quarterback.
Exactly.
Never had a quarterback. So, and the fact that he can consistently put up 1,000 yards every season with garbage out there, Carson Wentz, Heineke's not garbage, but he's limited. And, now they're going to have Jacoby Brissett, who's okay, but Sam Howell, who's Sam Howell? I don't know what he's going to be. He's played 1 game. So, and I'm sure he'll still put out another 1,000-yard season. So he has to be top 10 because he's just consistent. He's the definition of consistency in the league. I will say, if Jacoby Brissett plays, they'll be okay. They'll win some games. But I don't think he's going to play the whole season. I think they're going to try to see what Sam Howell's got. And I'm not buying the Sam Howell stock. So I do think they will end up not tanking, but being really bad. They'll end up with Caleb Williams or Drake May. So that'll be the quarterback Terry McLaurin needs.
Wow. Yeah. I don't think he's... Honestly, I think we're going to slowly start to forget about him if they don't get a quarterback over there, honestly.
Well, you could be right, but that's yet to be seen. So.
Okay, we'll see. So my number 9 receiver is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I feel like this receiver has just been so underrated, It's the second season in the league. The first 6 games, he was not targeted at all. He had about 5.3 targets. After his 10th game, he got 10 receptions plus every game after that. So that just goes to say he really stepped up and he really did his thing to really get noticed. He really proved himself in that one season, and I feel like that's really why going into his second season, he really made a statement. And not a lot of people know about him, but he is a great receiver, and I predict that he's going to be one of the best receivers in the league at some point.
Well, it's interesting because I have Amon-Ra St. Brown closer to 12 or 13, but you have him in your top 10. PFF had him, I'm pretty sure, ranked at 3 of his overall grade. So it just shows that all these receivers are close. Now, no one thinks Amon-Ra St. Brown is the 3rd best receiver in the league, so it just shows how wacky PFF can be sometimes.
Yeah.
But
let's not get
it gives you perspective.
That,
It gives you perspective on how effective he could really be.
No, absolutely. Yeah, he is definitely a talented player. If you actually look at his highlights and see what he does, you'll see how talented he actually is.
He's a talented number 1 receiver. Now, going into what you were saying, why doesn't no one really know who he is? Detroit.
No, yeah, that's right.
Now they're starting to get some steam, though. They're starting to become exciting.
No, I like the Lions this upcoming season.
I have them winning the division. I don't think that's a
fair.
hot take.
No, Green Bay is definitely taking a step back.
Vikings are going to take a step back?
Yeah, no.
And what's Chicago?
I really like the Lions this season.
I think we both like the Lions a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
We'll see where that goes.
We'll see where that
and
goes.
And they're in the NFC. Anything's up for grabs.
Anything's possible. They could end up with the 3rd seed after San Francisco and Philadelphia. So it's very possible.
For sure.
So number 10, I have CeeDee Lamb. Now, he's really established himself on Dallas as the number 1 receiver. He's also a great route runner. He's improved every single season statistically, too. So there's not that much to say about CeeDee Lamb, just that he's consistently improving and great since he's gotten into the league. He kind of has quietly established himself as the number 1 receiver in Dallas, and he performs every time he's out there. And now, you got rid of Amari Cooper, so it left CeeDee Lamb a little more exposed last season, and he still went out there and performed and put up even better numbers than the season before. Now you add Brandon Cooks, going to your point, when you have, a receiver kind of to push you, not only to push you, but to take pressure off you. Now, people are going to have to worry about Brandon Cooks. I'm pretty sure, the last, 6 or 7 seasons, 6 out of those 7 seasons, but besides last season, he's had 1,000-yard seasons for 5 or 6 seasons straight before that.
Oh my God,
so you gotta watch out for Brandon Cooks too. So that's gonna take a lot of pressure off CeeDee Lamb. I know they lost Dalton Schultz, but adding Brandon Cooks will help out CeeDee Lamb a lot. And CeeDee Lamb, he's another one who's kind of very well rounded. He could take a screen to the house. He could I'm pretty sure he could return punts. He can take him deep. So CeeDee Lamb is very well rounded.
So you're not gonna go to the point that I was saying that add another wide receiver and it just makes it harder. You don't think he's going to take a step back?
Well, no, because I felt like he was very. Okay, so say I'm the Eagles, and Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator last season, who. Other than the running backs, which is a different scheme, we're talking about wideouts who you have to cover. Now, I know Tony Pollard can catch passes out the backfield, but I'm talking about your wideouts, the corners who's going to cover your wideouts. Who is the biggest threat on Dallas last season? It wasn't Schultz. It wasn't Pollard. It was CeeDee Lamb.
No, it was, yeah, for sure.
It was CeeDee Lamb. So the whole defensive focus went to CeeDee Lamb in the passing game. Now you have Brandon Cooks. All that focus doesn't necessarily go to CeeDee Lamb now. Now you have 2 legitimate wideouts. Now, Tony Pollard's very effective out of the passing game. But I'm talking more of corners that need to cover your wideouts. So now you have a second legitimate wideout that's going to take pressure off.
So you think you're going to have another situation like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Devontae Adams and Smith? Do you think they're going to both go be elite wide receivers?
No, because I think Brandon Cooks is on the decline, but I still think Brandon Cooks can give you about 700 to 800 yards, which will be very effective for Dallas. Dallas needs that.
Okay. So I'll relieve the stress of having to be out there so much. That's fair.
Not only that, but just taking the focus off the defense. When you have to focus on 2 guys instead of 1, it makes the other guy more effective.
Oh, yeah, no, that's very true.
So it can go either way.
It really
could take volume away from him, but it could also alleviate some pressure off him and make him open on more plays.
No, that's a very good point. I didn't even think about that. Very good point. Okay, so my number 10, I had to put this one in. We were talking about him 2 weeks ago, basically the whole episode. DeAndre Hopkins. And it really doesn't matter where he's going to land up because, wherever he goes, he's talented. So he's going to go off. Even his age, considering, he still had a great season last year. Even though he missed a few games, he still put up amazing numbers. And, Arizona is really foolish for not paying this guy. I really think so because I really don't think their problem is the receiver and more so the quarterback. But like I said, if you want to get more into that, tune into 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, tune into our episode 2 weeks ago where I also said 700 yards in 9 games. That's number 1 receiver numbers. In 9 games, getting 700 yards. So I do understand where you're coming from. And I actually had Hopkins at number 11. So I do think he's still number 1 receiver. I think he's very effective. He's going to be very effective no matter where he goes this season. The problem is, age does matter a little bit, but also I think at this point in their career, CeeDee Lamb creates more separation than DeAndre Hopkins. I know DeAndre Hopkins' game was never based on speed, but he wasn't fast to begin with, and now he's gotten even slower.
Yeah, but what's better, having somebody that can create more space, is a better route runner, or somebody that you can throw up and that is going to get up there and catch the ball?
That's a good question because I think that's more of a flavor thing because would you rather have Tyreek Hill or, Justin Jefferson? It's It's a good point.
I mean, our list says it right now.
Yeah,
so.
I guess so. Well, but like, that's a good. That's like more of a flavor thing. Would you rather have a possession guy or a burner? You know, so you'd rather have the best of both worlds. Who I also
it really depends on the team that you're talking about. Because if we're talking about the Lions, then yeah, you need somebody that'll get you the last play. They'll let it go, and you know they'll get up there and catch it.
You're absolutely right about that. They could use someone like DeAndre Hopkins.
So I feel like it's wherever he fits best.
Yeah, that's a good point. So going back over our top tens, I'll start. So I had Justin Jefferson 1, Devontae Adams 2, Tyreek Hill 3, Jamar Chase 4, Cooper Kupp 5, Stephon Diggs 6, A.J. Brown 7, Deebo Samuel 8, Terry McLaurin 9, and CeeDee Lamb 10, with DeAndre Hopkins barely missing. Dylan's list, he had Devontae Adams 1, Justin Jefferson 2, Tyreek Hill 3, Jamar Chase 4, A.J. Brown 5, Stephon Diggs 6, Cooper Kupp 7, DK Metcalf 8, Amon-Ra St. Brown 9, and DeAndre Hopkins 10. Now, Dylan, do you have anyone that just missed the list?
Honestly, there was one player that you were talking about, Deebo Samuel. And
Deebo.
Listen.
Deebo.
I love Deebo, but our conversation, we're talking about receivers, and Deebo is a great all-around player. Like, listen, if we were talking about great players, top 10 players, yes, he would be like top 3 for me. But we're talking about receivers, and he's great in the backfield. He's a great player, but he's a great all-around player. A great receiver, he's up there. But there's other ones out there as well.
Well, I think his rushing abilities take away from him being a true wideout. I think if someone was like Deebo, go out there and line up the entire game at wide receiver, I think he would do an outstanding job at it. I just think he's so versatile that he could play wherever the hell he wants, and he'll just be effective anywhere.
Is that what makes a good wide receiver, though?
Yeah, but
I think there's other things that create.
That's a good question though, because these top tens. Everyone has different criteria. It's very subjective. My best receiver could be different than his best receiver. What counts as a top 10 receiver to me isn't going to be necessarily the same to Dylan. So for me, you got to take everything into account. Their effect on the game, not just what did he do at wide. What did he do when he lined up closer to the sideline. But to you, that's the case. So it just goes to show that everyone's a little different.
Everybody has different stuff, Everybody has different criteria.
Yeah.
And like I said before, the list could literally be flipped upside down, and it would look very similar.
Like a damn piece of paper. You can flip upside down and be like, oh,
yeah,
wow.
It's the same thing.
It might as well be fine. But, that's our top 10. I mean, it might be a little quick this episode, but I think we got to the juicy part. Thanks for being the co-host.
Yeah,
Dylan.
man. It was a great first coast.
And we kind of
new studio.
Yeah, we switched locations. We got a little studio going on here. We still got.
It's a work in progress. Things are
are
going to be added slowly, but
Still,
it's a work in progress.
Still definitely a work in progress, yes. But we're making great progress. Thank you for all the support so far on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
Love it.
We're really catching steam here with you guys, and I see that, and we both appreciate it because we're putting
a
lot of work into this. Yeah,
every like, every comment, every share, it all matters. It goes a long way for us.
So keep liking, subscribe, share, comment below, and.
We appreciate
if you have any suggestions on future episodes, let us know. Maybe we'll think about it.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.